talking about the same genre as we were talking before, a James Bond and a Jason Bond. So we wanted to be the Jason Bond. Right. Just before Rana comes in, I say, so India has got its independence. He says India has not been given its independence. It's been achieved. It's been fought and got. So India is a love story again. Many people do not realize about its love story. Then Karthikeya 3 is going to be back. So you're saying, why are you going back into the past? Why not into the future? I'll go into the future too.
No. No.
I've got no political affiliations. I do not belong to any political party, and this film does not. No, we didn't get money from any certain source to come on, do this, do that. I think making the other side evil to serve your purpose is always bad. So I never do that in my movies.
Alright, so I'm joined by the leading man of Spy, who's here in Bangalore to promote his exciting espionage thriller, which is due to release on June 29 as a bona fide pan-Indian film. Hello, Nikhil Siddhartha. Welcome to this conversation with OTTplay.
Thank you so much. OTTplay has always been so nice to me.
Right,
You've given away a nice award also to me recently. The game changer for Karthikeya too. So always grateful, and I'm back. I'm happy to be here in Bangalore first, because we are promoting the film in the Kannada version also. And very excited because we have got a good dub on all these, and the sound quality, the image quality which I've seen is very satisfying. And as you said, bona fide, I think we might qualify because we're having a simultaneous release, and we have a concept in hand and a visual in hand, which I think can go the distance.
Right, of course, yeah. Now, before we start off, I just want to know, do you have any specific memories of Bangalore? I mean, how has the city treated you over the years?
See, my wife used to study here in MVJ College.
Right.
So when she came to collect her, that was our first date before the marriage. Right. So it was like, I've got a very good memory. As a kid, I've been here many, many times. But we came here, and she took me to MVJ College, and I stayed here for a couple of days, and we went to some of the clubs here, some place called Cutico, and it was very nice, very nice. Right. And so I really enjoyed the city always because of the weather, the greenery, and the people here who are so warm and so much fun loving. So it's always a vibe in the city. So
that I agree with. Yeah. Okay, so Nikhil, interestingly, I want to start off with this question. This is one sort of very striking aspect of your recent filmography has been the element of past.
Okay.
Right? Especially the idea of unraveling past, or especially particularly
even 18 pages also had a past
exactly
book.
as coming
yeah.
Karthikeya to 18 pages has that element of past again, and then of course Spy here, and then India House and
India House it is set in the past.
It is set in the past. Yeah. But again, as an actor, you're sort of unraveling, or you're sort of exploring the past in the sense, right? Okay, so is it because you're sort of subconsciously drawn to these kind of films? Is that the reason? And B, do you suppose this is the best way to sort of initiate the younger crowd, or sort of expose the younger crowd to Indian history?
See, first of all, Karthikeya 2, which we have done, was about unraveling Daivam Manishirupena. That was the concept. God is nothing but a form of man, and who's done good work is considered God, and Lord Krishna is the one who's done so much. So that is how we came over the subject. So unraveling the past. 18 pages was a love story, which I always thought was a love story. But as you say now, going into that thing maybe. But
no, I wouldn't probably put 18 pages in the category, but then since we are sort of discussing past, but
and my next film, Swayambhu, which I'm doing, is not it's a periodic fantasy drama. It's like So you're saying, why are you going back into the past? Why not in the future? I'll go into the future too.
No. Because I'm really curious about this, because there is something very particular that you're trying to do. I'm not sure if I don't suppose it's a conscious effort, because all these projects are exciting, on their own. But have you sort of had the time to sit back and realize that, okay, there is a sort of like a link connecting each of these?
I mean, no. I mean, as you've said, I've not thought so much about it. I take every film on the face, face value of it, and how good the project is generally. So I do not believe that and I'm giving like the genres is the only thing I take care of.
Right.
Like for example, Karthikeya was a fantasy, a very Indiana Jones kind of film. 18 Days was a love story. This film is a very it's spy thriller. And then you're talking about Swayambhu, it's a periodic drama, periodic war drama. And India House is a love story again. Many people do not realize about its love story. Then Karthikeya 3 is going to be back. So I've been setting my genre separately, but the screenplay detail where we might go into the past, I have not looked at it that much because
So what about this? Do you think this is an interesting way of exposing the younger crowd to
yeah, it
to
could be. I
Indian
mean,
history? Maybe?
especially Karthikeya 2 was an attempt at that, like to let the younger crowd and people who do not realize that our mythology was nothing but our history. That was the concept of Karthikeya 2. Our history is nothing but mythology is nothing but our history. So we did that in that film, and in spy, it is going to be a spy thriller, but we have an undercurrent of the independence movement and what exactly happened during the time, and how Subhash Chandra Bose, the great Netaji, motivated lakhs and lakhs of people to come out and inspire them to fight for the freedom. And there's a dialogue in the movie also in the trailer, where just before Rana comes in, I say, so India has got its independence. He says India has not been given its independence. It's been achieved. It's been fought and got. So that is like a very interesting point we are trying to talk about in the film. And I think 75 years has happened, and people are not reading enough about this. And we just take our freedom for granted. So we try to give a small, not too much, no classes, no bhashan, aisa kuch nahi. Just a very small bit of information which could be enlightening through a very entertaining narrative. So
Right. So, interesting that you brought up Netaji. I wanted to, understand how one could introduce such a, legendary historical figure. But since we're on the topic, so what is the idea of because he's been such a mythical figure
Yeah.
for almost the last 4-5 generations, really, right? I mean, so how do you make a character of his stature relevant to this time?
that is what the movie has done. So you should watch watch that in the movie.
Right. Okay. So
So I cannot reveal. So that is the
Sure.
the crux. That's the beauty of how the movie has been made. So how you have had these characters who are facing a current problem, and yeah. So I somewhere do believe that there have been these files on Subhash Chandra Bose ji, the Netaji's classified files, which were declassified in 2019. This is you can go to find out. Any right to information certificate from whatever application will give you this that they were declassified. But what were in that, and what exactly why were files kept into the 1960s, 1970s on a person who was supposedly dead in a flight crash in the 1940s, and people have read that file, have come out and given some statements which, and I've talked to people which are shocking. So all of them have said the same thing, and those things match. And there are some logical questions which have been answered once the files are declassified, which make this very, very important now. So from 2019, we have realized it's come back again. So when we heard that story, that these things have been declared, we thought, why not a spy thriller using that as a base? So the movie is an actioner, but it revolves around the Subhash Chandra Bose's files.
So in a sense that the spirit of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose is a character in the film.
Yes, it is. It is. And what is going on? What is there in it? What's happening? Who wants it? What is it going to be done with it? So all these are questions that will be answered in the movie.
Okay, looking forward. Yeah. So I want to understand from you the concept or the structure of an espionage thriller, because the espionage thriller as a subgenre has existed for
Quite some
several
time, yes,
decades, right? And there's sort of rules and regulations and stuff like that.
I wouldn't say rules, but it's like
I mean, there
ways
are
of
unspoken rules, and in the sense that like a rom-com has its own sort of guidelines,
a blueprint,
and stuff like that, right? Yeah, like a courtroom drama has its own sort of guidelines. So in an espionage thriller, in a film such as this, there's very little scope for, say, a love track. I mean, we don't normally get to see it. We do sort of, I mean, Mission Impossible, these movies, they sort of explored that. But here we see there is a a romantic song between the two? Is actually I wanted to ask Aishwarya this question, but I'm sure you'd be able to answer as well. So, how do you think the balance has been achieved? I mean, without deviating from the.
I mean, if you see the latest espionage spice, the biggest one is the James Bond series.
Sure.
And if you go back to Quantum of Solace or a Spectre, like that is nothing but a love story. There's a beautiful love story in the recent the Daniel Craig James Bond series where he's in love with you've seen the movies, I'm sure.
Of course,
So,
yeah.
so I think there is scope because for a love angle in any, but we have not overdone it.
Right.
We have not broken the flow. We have not just jumped into a song,
Right.
and we have not
But
gone to.
as more. I
It's
think I
it's going to
love-
be like how a very
a love track, like a love angle is completely justified
Yeah.
because, like I said, or you said, all great movies do have one. But the idea of sort of switching to a song, I mean, you
No, the song comes in a very good juncture. It doesn't break the flow of the
Sure,
movie.
right, okay.
So if I say it, the twist is broken. So
of course, yeah.
I want you to watch it. And
Right.
but I know your concern. You're saying won't it break the flow of the film? We have tried to fit in the song without breaking the flow of the film. And there's just one song.
Right.
There are two songs in the film. One is this, love song which happens, and then the second song is the Azadi song which happens like in the second half,
Sure, right.
which is also a very very good song. which
Like
I-
those two singles are out already.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Right. Another sort of interesting aspect of this film is that it has a producer who's written the story.
Yes.
Right. I mean, that's sort of like a very rare combination. So, what is it like to work with a producer who's slightly more creatively involved, so to speak, or yeah.
He was creatively involved with the writing of the story, but
Right.
after the story was written,
Right.
once he handed the script over to the director,
Right.
he never came to the set.
Right.
Raj Reddy and Rajanna, we call him.
Right.
He never had a time. He's such a busy
Sure.
person. He's
Right.
into so many things. Also, he runs a software company. So he was so busy that he never came, and he gave us complete creative freedom for the story he wrote. So
Right.
within the boundaries of that, he gave the director the creative freedom to shoot however he wanted it to, and for me to express myself.
So it's sort of like it was your interpretation, Garry BH's interpretation of that story.
But it was a bound script.
Bound
So
script,
there
of
was
course.
nothing that we could escape.
Sure.
So
okay.
it had to be like done. But in the process, how it is shot, for example, locations could have been changed. Like, so yeah, you know what? And Garry had his own spin on that.
Right.
To some extent.
So in the sense that, do you suppose it's sometimes when you have the producer involved in the creative aspects, whatever in whatever form, like say in this case is written this story, is it easier to justify a budget saying that okay, the story demands us we sort of erect this massive set, or we need to travel to this location, or do you think it's easier to sort of justify that?
100%. And we traveled to all the original locations. So we made sure we were in Jordan because the movie needed us to be in Jordan. We didn't go to some place or use a green mat and do that. We had to go to a certain jungle in certain place. I won't reveal that,
Yeah,
but
sure.
we did. And then we had to go to Sri Lanka. We did. We had to go to the United States, blocks of roads and use drones and all. We did it. So he didn't compromise, not just because he loves the script so much, but he just loves cinema so much, and he trusted us on the ground there, and he sanctioned the amounts. And luckily, after that, Karthikeya 2 became a success, and they've made their money back in much more terms. And so I'm so happy the producer has made profits, and I hope tomorrow the movie also is liked by the people and enjoyed by the people.
Right. And what is it like to work with a director who's such a well-known editor?
Yeah.
And is there, that okay, everything is sort of planned and he's got sort of the edit running on
In
his
his head.
mind, right?
See, every good director is an editor too.
Sure.
So you have to have the editing sense to be a good director. And once he is doing it himself, and Garry just didn't do editing. He also was in a post-production. He was part of a CG. He headed a CG company. So he did many things before coming into direction and editing. And if you see, some of his best movies are also his thrillers, like Shanam, Godachari. He's got HIT 2. So these films are somewhere what we were looking for. The producer was looking for a director who could, execute such stuff, and he had the know-how of a successful one at this with the Telugu audience. So we thought he was the best choice.
Right. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So two last questions. One is, so we've got Hindi cinema making big budget, massive scale, spy franchises sort of.
Yeah.
And I suppose Spy is also potentially a franchise, even depending on, right? I mean,
Could
we
be on the
couldn't
success of the
predict
film.
future. Right, yeah, of course.
June 29th will decide.
Right. So now I understand that not every filmmaker or not every team can afford the same kind of budget that some of the others do. Like
Yeah.
for example, right? Now, how do you still pull it off? How do you make sure that okay, there are no sort
By
of
being
limitations?
different from everything. The only way we can pull it off is we can't match them with their budgets. So the only way we can match them is by being special. And the way we could be special is through the way we have gone for a realistic approach to spy thriller. Like, talking about the same genre as we were talking before, a James Bond and a Jason Bond. So we wanted to be the Jason Bond.
Right.
So
Very real and
very real. Even the action, we have never gone absurd heights or absurd action. It has been like within the boundaries of physics, and we checked and double checked. We had the stunt choreographer Bobby coming down from the United States. He was working on the Transformers series. He came down and he gave his knowledge on how to make that realistic. So Krav Maga was one of the fights which were very realistic. So we used that. So when you see the trailer, you see the action is very organic and it flows. There are no extremely high speed shots which don't make sense. So anyways, keeping all that aside, being special is important. Having a story which was not like any of the other regular blueprint espionage thrillers was also important. So that is where there is a lot of emotion in the film. A couple of days back when I was watching the film in the DTS mix, I had tears in my eyes. And so it's very rare to have tears in your eyes in a spy thriller, but I did. So it made sense to me that, okay, tomorrow when people are going to watch it, they're going to set this a little apart to what it is as the content.
Right. Okay. I like the within the boundaries of physics.
Oh, yes, 100%. I might do films which are out of the boundary a little later,
Right.
or before I did, but this film needs realism.
Right, sure. Okay, Nikhil, final question. I asked this out of curiosity, okay, not with any sense of judgment. See, there's been some chatter about your selection of your recent films. That saying that that they sort of that they promote a certain ideology or I don't want to use the word because it's sort of
please use it. I mean, say please.
Propaganda star and stuff like that. One hears all this chatter on social media and where not. So, do you suppose it's unfair, or how do you perceive that whole thing?
Well, people have already decided what the story of my next movies, India House and Swayambhu, are going to be. They do not know what it is going to be. So, and I believe that cinema is something which being very apolitical. I have got no political affiliations. I do not belong to any political party, and this film does not. No, we didn't get money from any certain source to come on, do this, do that. And at the same time, if you see about Karthikeya 2, it was about Lord Krishna, which was enjoyed by all walks of society. I saw a lot of Muslim families coming along and watching and enjoying the film. Many people from different walks of maybe in the church, they would come along and say, "What a great movie! We really enjoyed the entire film." So watch a film as a film and do not politicize it. But there are certain people who just want to divide. So I try to bring people together with my films. And my only aim, being an Indian and being a responsible citizen, is try to get the left and right closer, because they're getting too extreme, and I get abused sometimes from both sides, but I'll take it because I make movies honestly without any agendas.
From both sides, I think it's okay.
It's okay. No, I get people, but they selectively do that when they have to say something about me. They select one section. They don't. The next tweet would have been about the opposite. But they don't reveal that because it's a narrative that they want to. But they are less than 2 or 3% in the entire population, because I believe 99% of people are pro-India, and politics don't matter to them. It's just the day of voting, they go vote for the lesser evil. But it's just 1% who keep fighting about power. So they try to do all this.
Right. But do you think it's safe, or is it wise for an actor to have an ideology? I mean,
I don't have an ideology. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
See, if there is
I don't. It's not the question's not targeted at you specifically.
Ah.
I'm just
Generally,
if you,
okay.
if you were to speak for other actors and
Yeah.
yourself, like, do you think is it safe to expose, say, whatever ideology you have today? Do you think it's safe to
No,
sort
I
of
think
reveal that?
I think making the other side evil to serve your purpose is always bad. So I never do that in my movies. If you've seen, when we're talking about Lord Shri Krishna, we have not talked about anything. If we're talking about Subhash Chandra Bose, we're not degrading anybody else. So saying that we are appreciating a certain person is degrading another person is wrong. But there are movies which talk the opposite, like degrading people directly. That I think is the one which should be bothered about and is the problem. But I am not on that path, and I am on a path of neutrality and trying to put the facts out and let people take the decision in a very, very neutral way.
Awesome. I like that answer.
Thank you.
What do you think we can expect from Spy if you were to put it in like a couple of sentences?
Spy is going to be a wholesome family entertainer, and it's got a U/A certificate without any cuts from the censor. So that itself tells you that it's a clean film that can be enjoyed with the whole family. And I'm expecting Bakrid is going to be a national holiday. So on 29th, I want people to go along, and I want every Indian to watch this film. And just this is going to get you a little closer to all of us. I believe my cinema might be very small, but even a drop in the ocean is a start. So
Sure.
I hope I can make some change.
I overheard you talking about the dubbing aspect, saying that how much
Yeah.
effort's gone into the dubbing with use of AI and all
Yeah.
that. Right.
So we have to use sometimes when we don't have, sometimes the lip doesn't match.
Right.
We'll try to fit in,
Sure. Yeah.
and they're using very good technology also now.
Right.
Sync masters mainly, that's called.
Ah, interesting. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, looking forward to the film, and thank you so much. It was lovely chatting.
And
with
it's
you.
happy, Bangalore is one city I love, and I'm going headed to the mall now to meet more people and promote the film.
course, yeah.
Please do the same, support us and help us
Absolutely.
get it to the people.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.